this is the Global Digest think tank group. We are discussing with the global issue, regional issue, all kind of social politics and environment, human rights, etc. We discuss with very expert and professor, UN representative, and diplomat, lawyer, high level people. We are talking with many people. Before we discuss our discussion, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and where is your base? What is your background? Then we can continue our discussion. Welcome.
Okay, John. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you to discuss with your think tank, the Global Digest, and with your audience.
Right.
Thank you for being here. Nice to meet you too. Also, we have sent some messages by LinkedIn, and now we have a meeting here. It's pretty nice to me to make this contact. I come from Brazil, and Brazil is a huge country. We have a nice web of academics and of politics here. I make part of a think tank also, that is the ISAP. It's a think tank that I was the president. I am a former president, and now I am a research member. So I think that think tanks, it's a nice,
What is your organization name?
In Portuguese is ISAP. The translation is South American Institute for Politics and Strategics.
I see.
And yes, it's a think tank here. We produce a lot of things, but I am a professor also. I am a professor at the Pontifical University of Rio Grande do Sul. That is my region in Brazil. I am professor of international relations. My main concerns is Brazilian foreign policy and the international relations theory. This is the lectures that I do in the university to my students. And my background, so my formation is in international relations and in social science. My MEA and my PhD is in political philosophy. And I have a double degree in philosophy by PUC, that is my university that I am professor right now, and the University of Hagen in Germany. And I have this contact with Germanic academics.
I guess you are descendant of German, right?
Yes.
Because I have a privilege to talk with one of American, her husband is Brazilian. She is teaching in Brazil. Last year, I talked with her and she told there are many people in Brazil. There are some German group also there. So you are the one, I guess. So
yes. As Brazil is pretty huge, territorially speaking, we have different parts and different kinds of colonization. As I am in the extreme south of Brazil, here we have colonization from Italian people and Germanic people. So it's more or less 50-50. It's a half of our colonization here in the extreme south of Italian people and Germanic people.
You can speak
yes.
And you speak Portuguese and German.
Yes.
And English, so you know 3 languages.
Yes. Okay. And I think that's that, John. I don't know what more can I say.
Yes, Jung, we have many things to discuss with you. You are one of a professor and expert in South America geopolitics and foreign policy of Brazilian foreign policy, So we've been talking last time about BRICS. Brazil, one of member of BRICS. Last time, according to our discussion, BRICS is no active. It is almost ideal. just name is the China, India, Russia, South Africa, and Brazil. These five countries in the BRICS. But the activity is none as far as we discussed in last year. So how do you see about BRICS and how Brazil role in the BRICS? BRICS grouping, we can say grouping, you know?
Yes, yes. It's an interesting question, John. And the BRICS, it's an issue that we discuss a lot here. I think to answer this question, there is two levels. The first level is the BRICS itself. What's the whole of the BRICS right now? That it's an intricate question because we have a geopolitical context of the Ukraine war and the role that Russia is playing right now in international politics that is sure make BRICS as a concern for international politics and puts BRICS in another space. So this is the first level of the BRICS itself and of the discompass among the countries that are inside it, because you know that the Russia war in Ukraine, it's
Right,
not supported. It's not supported by all the other members. And when we look to China, for example, that it's a kind of a hegemon right now, that it's one of the great powers of our times. China have supported in the beginning, but may criticize to Putin and to Russia, and make this two-sided two-sided politics because China needs the bonds with Europe, need the bonds with the West, but also cannot fully criticize Russia because there are a lot of bonds also among
right,
them. And okay, this is the first level that put BRICS. That firstly was an idea, and it comes from the 2009. It will come as an idea, and the countries when make a meeting continues to make meetings and created a bank, created some institutions that to materialize this idea. So there was an evolution of the BRICS as an idea, and it was okay in the international politics. It will, when it comes for the Western institutions to the traditional institutions from international politics, it was okay
yeah.
that BRICS exists. It's
Their
not
their idea is
dangerous.
the BRICS, their idea basically they want to uh, do alternative against the West and NATO,
Yeah,
those G7 or those industrialized rich country. They are they are overwhelmingly controlling and policing international systems. So those uh, BRICS country feel, why not we? We also big country. Why not
yes,
we also here? But the thing is, the outcome of the products, they should show some products because NATO and Western country, they are overwhelming economic power and they are very solid and very cooperated system. They have very good alliance and also in military, they are very much cooperative and very much aligned. We can see significant in the Western country-led NATO organization, but the BRICS has no any significant. They move on because they seem they are themselves alone. China is doing himself itself. China itself
yes,
alone, and Russia is doing alone. But there is no uh, significant cooperation among those countries, and there's
yes.
no common activity or common action so far. I don't know. You can explain us better.
Yes, we were going to there because, as I said, we have two levels to this explanation. I was in the first level, that was the BRIC itself as an institution and the historical of this institution. That was an idea. It started materializing some institutions in itself, as the NDB, for example, New Development Bank, that I think that is the most important institution from the BRICS. And it advanced, and it was absorbed by international politics and was an idea and a materialization in the international politics, and it was okay. But, and now we come to the second level of this explanation, we have the parts, we have the 5 countries that it's inside this. So we have this kind of multilateral level and the historic of the institution, and then the 5 parts of the BRICS. That started the problem there, because as you said, and as we know from the international politics and the history of international relations, that countries can cooperate, countries cooperate among themselves, but until some level, until some point. Departing from this point, we have the conflict, we have each country for itself. And in the times that we live in right now, times of conflict, time when cooperation is lacking, we can say that, we have also a hole that expands in the BRICS as an idea. That was the first level. And we have the kind of the expansion of China. We have the Brazilian discompass and the Brazilian, how can I say that in English? We have some Portuguese words that it's hard to translate. But
So
we have
what is a Brazilian expectation? What is advantage of Brazilian
yes,
for being a member of BRICS? What
this is
Brazil benefit?
This is the very point. We have in the last 4 years, for example, the presidents of Jair Bolsonaro, and his foreign policy was a very idle one. Brazil lost some space in international politics, space that has won in the 21st century with an active foreign policy, with a propositive foreign policy that with Jair Bolsonaro was stopped. So Jair Bolsonaro didn't make attention to BRICS and to any other multilateral kind of cooperation. And even in the UN and even in the institutions from the UN, Brazilian was not very interested on it. We had a kind of foreign policy that was based on bilateral relations. That for Brazil, it's strange. It's not a problem in itself when a foreign policy, a country base this foreign policy on bilateral relations. But in Brazil history, we have a diplomacy that it's institutionalized, aiming to the multilateral sphere. So it's from Brazilian the Brazilian pattern on foreign policy, go in multilateral and make foreign policy through multilateral relations. That from Jair Bolsonaro, it wasn't the reality. It broke with that. And with this break, also BRICS was a secondary thing. So this idleness of BRICS that you told, and you told it correctly, that the BRICS, it's kind of freezed right now, it comes from this second level, that it's the 5 countries and the different interests from these 5 countries, including Brazil. And this take our reality. That was the reality since the last year, because from the 1st January, we have a new president. And this new president, that is Lula da Silva, it's a president that was the creator here in Brazil, was one of the creators of the BRICS. When BRICS started, Lula was the Brazilian president, and now he returned. And the foreign policy of Lula had BRICS as a main point. It was a priority. So now we depart from 4 years of freezed BRICS, and BRICS wasn't a priority for Brazilian foreign policy. But now we have a president that thinks that BRICS is important. The problem here, it's again the question of the levels, because the BRICS, it's not the same thing that was in this beginning. Now we have a different context. Yes, we have a different geopolitical context. The international politics has different agendas right now, different alliances, different kind of cooperations and conflicts. And we need to see how it will work.
So Brazil is willing to work with China and Russia, or Brazil disappointed with Russia, or how's Brazil reaction?
With the Russian war,
so Brazil disappointed, probably.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, John, because again, if take the Brazilian history, it was the first kind of approach of this question was to criticize Russia and to take this pattern of Western critique to Russia. But it was not what was done here. How I said, we have a different pattern of foreign policy these last 4 years of Jair Bolsonaro presidency. And we did not criticize any sides. We make a neutral, we took a neutral position in this war.
Same with China, India, they all are neutral.
Yes.
Even South Africa also neutral, right?
Yes, it was a neutrality.
No BRICS member criticized Russia so far. And did you BRICS member have a meeting after Russia invasion on Ukraine, or they have any issue statement or anything, or they do nothing?
Yes, BRICS continues to make meetings, but not presidential meetings, because there is a lot of levels of meetings. But there was not a presidential meeting.
And they don't make strong criticism about Russia invasion in Ukraine.
No, and it's interesting because in the domestic politics here in Brazil, it was demanded for the president to make critics to Russia. Our deputies, our senators was taking the Western side, and the side is to criticize Russia invasion. But it was not the position from the foreign office and from the president, and then we took a neutrality. But I emphasize that it is an anchored position when we took Brazilian foreign policy history. Based on our history, the position was would be to criticize the invasion, because Brazil has a pacifist history. Brazil, there is a lot of examples, ever took the side of the non-aggression. And
I see.
But yes.
So Brazil role in BRICS is not significant, and I don't think Brazilian people feel any good thing or benefit from BRICS, right? Even any neighbor country in South America, they feel anything positive on the BRICS about Brazil member in BRICS, or they feel nothing?
Yes, in the South American context, we have the rivalry with Argentina, and as Argentina is outside of the BRICS, as we know, there is a kind of distrust in this organization. We can say that. We have our regional organizations here in South America, and that is prioritized also from Lula, for example. And now, from now, I think that would be the priority over BRICS will be the regional organizations, the integration of our region, South America. And for the other countries, BRICS are seen as a competitor in the priority in the Brazilian foreign policy agenda. So the other countries here glimpse that Brazil has to choose over the regional agencies and institutions and prioritize that or the global institutions as BRICS. I think that for the context that we have right now, Brazil will prioritize the regional context.
I see.
And yes, because it's a difficult position for BRICS right now, with the context mainly from Russia and from China, that is pretty different from the beginning of the BRICS.
So apart from BRIC, what is Brazil's main bilateral ally? Which country? United States, or which country Brazil main their diplomatic relationship, main alliance?
In numbers nowadays is China. Nowadays is China.
Which means Brazil have more diplomatic relationship with China, also economically
and economical, commercial, and since 2006. So normally we say that in the 20th century, U.S. was our main ally. The Brazilian foreign policy in the 20th century was based on U.S. Now in 21st century is the century of China. It's a word, it's a phrase that we know.
You have
and for
more,
Brazil, it's
more trading and more,
yes,
export import with China, and
then,
you have more economically. You can do more benefit from China than America, US.
Yes, but it's important to make a point here that is US is still being a very important ally, as the European Union, and within European Union, I emphasize Germany and Netherlands. And so China right now, how I said before, in numbers is the main ally. But here in Brazil, the allegiance aren't a pattern of, okay, this is my ally, I will take all his agenda, this is my main ally, so I will follow him. No, it's not the pattern that we have here. As we have China and US as ally, we will make a bounce. We make a bounce among them. Okay, in numbers, China is the first, but we have a tradition with US, we have a history, strong bonds and cultural bonds also with US, and it's a pretty important ally. We will bounce among them and will take benefits among them, among this double-sided relation. So in number, yes, China is our main.
What about in military side? Is there any military assistance for America, or you get any assistance for Russia or China? How Brazil military is more closer with which country?
Mainly from US until now. We have a cooperation agreement that was done in 1952. And this cooperation, yes. But it's important to say that military issues is not very strong here in Brazil as an international projection. Our military forces, it's pretty concerned with internal issues, with domestic issues. For example, with the vigilance of our boundaries, that is pretty extensive. We have, to say it in numbers, 13 13 miles of limits. So it's a pretty huge area, and normally our military issues is concerned with the vigilance of our borders.
Right.
And with Amazon forest also, we do not use military forces as a projection, as international projection. Of course, there is the UN missions that Brazil sometimes involves itself, but it's not our strong point.
Yeah.
But thinking on that, it's from US, still being from US, our main influence.
Because your military have to take care huge your own Brazil country, you know. You have to take care east, west, south, you know. Yourself have to do many things. Is there any big military power in South America other than Brazil?
No, it's Brazil. It's Brazil, despite it's the largest military force in South America is Brazil.
Is there
But as I said,
any American or China or Russia military base in South America?
in South America, there is US, a lot of US bases here in South America.
In which
Chinese
country?
or Indian? I don't think so. No, only from US. Only from US.
Where is US military base? In Brazil or Argentina or which country?
We have in Brazil, we have military base in Brazil in the Northwest.
I see.
In the Maranhão state here in Brazil. And in Colombia. Colombia is the central point of US military base here in South America. And Colombia, it's a country with strong boundaries with US. And yes, it's a pretty intricate context to other countries make a military base here, because it will make a geopolitical complication with US.
Right.
But of course, we have cooperation, military cooperation with other countries, including China, including India. There is some military people that come here to make some trainments. Also, Brazilian military people go to some countries as China to make trainments.
I see.
But it's a low level of cooperation when compared with US.
So we can say US is the main strategic presence in the South America in terms of military.
Yes. From this strategic point, of course, and we have the question that the US has maritime forces in the South Atlantic. So our oceanic border, we can say like that, has the vigilance of the US. And yes, the presence here in South America, strategically speaking, I have an hegemony of US yet.
So Brazil is the only hegemony in South America. Brazil is a democracy?
It's a discussion. It's a discussion if you can call Brazil an hegemony here. Some people say that, some people say don't.
How can you say Brazil is a democracy country or not really democracy?
Yes,
maybe it's not liberal democracy yet.
It's the question of the moment. We can say that. I don't know if you are watching what's happening in Brazil right now. We had yesterday, for example, an invasion of our Congress, National Congress, that is being compared to the Capitol invasion in US. So the presidential palace was invaded yesterday. The National Congress was invaded yesterday.
By whom?
The Supreme Court was invaded yesterday by by supporters of President Jair Bolsonaro, that is our former president, and that was running for a second mandate in our last elections, but he lost for Lula da Silva, that returned to the power since 1st January. So the supporters of Bolsonaro don't agree with the elections, don't agree with the results of the voters, and they are making some riots in our capital, in our main city, that is Brasilia.
I see.
And they invaded yesterday the three main buildings of Brazil political forces, of our three forces, that is the legislative, executive, and judiciary. And it is happening right now. It's a massive riot. The president make a intervention, a military intervention there. So it's a pretty intricate context that, of course, it makes a point, it makes a hole in our democracy. It's a hole in our democratic institutions, and it is the first time that it happens in these means, in these patterns. In our past, we have some military strikes, military coup d'etat here in Brazil. So we have some dictatorial governments, military governments that was of a dictatorial patterns, but it is in the past. We built a relatively strong democracy until now, but we have this cup right now, and we are seeing what's happening, because it affects Brazil not only domestically but also internationally. Till Brazil returns to a position of a propositive country, of active country in international relations, in multilateral spheres, we need to have stability domestically speaking. And we don't have this stability right now.
I see. So, what about the Brazilian military? They obey the new president order, or they are obeying the previous president order? Which president they are following?
Yes, it's that we are seeing right now, because we have 90 days of the new governments, and so everything is brandly new right now. Formally speaking, they respond to the new president, that it's the commander-in-chief. But yesterday, we are thinking, oh, but okay, we have the reality. And in the reality, we saw that there are some parts, that are some groups inside the military forces, also the police forces, the intelligence forces, that's still a group with the former president.
I see.
And so in this kind of what we do with our democracy right now, we need firstly a huge reconstruction of some institutions of security, public security, and military forces, intelligence force, that's still being responding to the former president, that has he tried to make a coup here in Brazil. He didn't reach it there.
And, so it means transition is still not going smooth well, because there are many
a hard transition.
Military and many police. They are still loyal to the previous president. Yes. So you have transition problem.
Yes, it's a hard transition. And as I said, the supporters also, it's not some groups, it's not some main groups as military, as some politicians and so on. There are a lot of supporters also, because the elections here was very disputed, was pretty near.
How much percentage?
Was 1.5%.
Just 1.5% difference.
Yes, so it's pretty near. We have a lot of similarities with what happened in US among Joe Biden and Donald Trump. A lot of similarities, and the supporters of Trump, and what happened after, and so on. For example, the former president wasn't here when the new president assumes. And in our history, always the former president pass the stripe, the presidential stripe, to the new president. We didn't have it right now in Brazil,
I
and
see.
it seems it's a result of what you said. Uh,
Transition
this
problem.
hard transition, this transition problem that we have
Do
here.
you see any election fraud or corruption in the election?
No. We have a strong electoral system here in Brazil. It's a studied case also worldwide, because historically we have a pretty good electoral system,
I
and
see.
it was never pointed as corrupted or as
Is
it was
there
now,
among
but
among Brazil people, is there left-wing group or left-wing party in politics?
we have the All Wings party here in Brazil. Now the party that won, the party from Lula da Silva, is a social democrat party that won. It's considered a left-wing party here in Brazil, but we have other parties that is pretty much leftist than this one, that is as a central left party. And Jair
Is
Bolsonaro is from an extreme right party.
I see.
And this is the struggle that we have nowadays. The
Is,
main parties is one from the extreme right and one from the central left. We have a communist party here in Brazil, but it's not pretty significant. It's
I
a
see.
little party.
Most Brazil people they don't much interest about communism,
No.
but Brazil willing to do economic or trading with China for
Yes,
economic purpose.
yes. Brazil make business with every country. This is a kind of our history. Being democratic or not, being communist, capitalist, socialist, we have our interests, and the Brazilian diplomacy seek our interests.